What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Barbecue Tips Podcast. I'm Christie Vanover, champion pitmaster, the girl behind one of America's top barbecue websites, girlscangrill.com, and a contestant on Food Network's Barbecue Brawl. I'm here to bring you some quick barbecue tips to help you up your barbecue game. Thanksgiving is 1 week away, so today we're going to be talking turkey. I'm going to give you 7 of my top tips for how to smoke a turkey that is delicious, wonderful, something that everybody who visits your house for Thanksgiving is going to love and talk about until next year. Warning though, they may ask you to make the turkey every year after this. All right, let's start with what size turkey to buy. That's one of the main questions. People want to make sure that they have enough meat for everybody, but remember, you also have all of those sides, probably dessert, maybe even appetizers, maybe even a ham. And by the way, if you want recipes for all of those things that I just said, be sure to pick up a copy of my cookbook, Holiday Grilling. I've got everything in there from the turkey, a lot of these turkey tips, the ham, the sides, the desserts, even the cocktails. So pick up that on Amazon. If you order it today, I think you can still get it in time for Thanksgiving. But getting back to that turkey size, no matter how many extra sides you're gonna have, just go ahead with the formula of 1.5 pounds of turkey per person that's gonna be at your dinner table. That way, if you have a lot of sides, you will have a little bit of leftovers so that you can make turkey sandwiches or turkey omelets or things like that the next day. But you also won't run out of turkey, which is, a key thing. When I'm talking about the 1.5 pound ratio, I'm actually referring to the weight in the bag. So when you buy it at the grocery store, that's the weight. That's not the amount of meat that a person's going to get, because you will remove the bones, the organs, it's going to thaw, things like that, the plastic wrap and everything. But I'm just talking about the weight in the packaging. So 1.5 pounds per person. Now, let's say you're having 15 people over at your house. You'll multiply that times 1.5 pounds per person. That's going to be like a 23, 24 pound bird. Personally, though, I don't recommend cooking a 24 pound bird. That's going to be a bigger bird. It's going to be a little bit older of a bird. It's also only going to have 2 legs and 2 wings, so there's not a lot of dark meat to go around. So instead of cooking a 24 pound bird, what I recommend is actually cooking 2 12 pound birds. That way it'll cook faster. You'll be able to flavor the meat a lot better. You'll get more dark meat, more of those extra wings and legs, and it just works better. I know a 24 pound bird presentation looks really cool, but again, it's kind of harder to fit in your smoker, and all the reasons I said before, just go with 2 12 pounders instead. So my rule is usually when I get to like 16 pounds, when I do the math, that's when I say, okay, let's not go past that. Let's just cook 2 birds instead. My ideal weight for birds is usually around the 12 pound mark, like 10 to 14 is kind of the range that I go with. Okay, that was tip number 1. Moving on to tip number 2, juicy turkey. We all want juicy turkey. Well, the key to that is to brine your turkey in a saltwater solution. Now, the brine recipe on my website is so simple. It's just like salt, water, sugar, and some of my turkey rub. You will find other ones that have like aromatics, like different herbs and lemons and things like that. Honestly, I don't think you need it. I don't think the turkey needs it. You're going to flavor the turkey during the seasoning stage, during the whole cooking and basting stage. With the brine, all you're really trying to do is to moisturize that meat. Make sure whatever brine recipe that you're looking at, that it signifies whether or not you're supposed to use table salt or kosher salt. Most often they should say kosher salt, but those are not interchangeable in brines because they weigh different. So a cup of table salt is not the same as a cup of kosher salt. So just pay attention to that. My brine recipe uses kosher salt. So I like the Diamond kosher salt, but you could also use the Morton's kosher salt. Either one of those are fine. When preparing your brine, you're going to want to make 2.5 cups of brine for every pound of turkey that you have. I like to get one of those 5-gallon buckets from Home Depot or from Lowe's, and I double line it with the plastic turkey bags from Reynolds. You can usually find those in the foil section. And then I place the turkey in that bag in the bucket, breast side down, because that's the meat that's going to dry out the fastest. So you really want the breast meat to soak in the brine. And then I pour my brine inside. It's really important that your brine is cooled first. You can do that one of 2 ways. You can just let it like chill at room temperature after you boil it and make it, or you can cut the water amount in half and use half water to melt down the salts and the sugars and stuff, and then add in ice. And then once the ice melts, then it's going to cool it off and it's going to give you all of the brine that you need. So once your brine is made, you just pour that right into the bucket in the bag on the turkeys. And then you're going to want to squeeze that bag and press out as much air as you can, tie it in a knot. And then if you find that your turkey is still floating in the brine and it's not fully submerged, I'll just take a heavy cast iron lid out of the pantry and stick that right on top of the bag, and that will help weigh everything down. There's also these things that are like turkey briner briner buckets that help press out the air. You could use that too, but this is what I've got. 5-gallon bucket, 2 oven bags, turkey, brine, and the lid, and it works just fine. You're going to want to brine your turkey for about 45 minutes per pound. To me, I find that that is the ideal time limit. If you go longer, you run the risk of it being a little bit too salty. And if you go under, then you're not going to get the full brine process that you really want to get. So again, 2.5 cups of brine for every pound of turkey that you have, and 45 minutes in that brine for every pound of turkey that you have. All right, tip number 3. We've got a juicy bird inside, but we want to make sure that the skin is crispy on the outside. So my key for that is to actually air chill the bird. So once you take it out of the brine, at this point, I do actually like to rinse it. Usually I never rinse poultry. I know that that's a controversial topic. People are like, do you rinse your chicken? Do you not rinse your chicken? Most of the time I do not rinse my chicken or my turkeys. However, if I put it in a brine solution, I do like to rinse it because I want to get off that excess salt water so that in the end it's not too salty. So, make sure you have an empty sink. Rinse off that brine, pour the brine down the sink, and then afterwards, place your turkey on a sheet pan. I like to put a baking rack on top of a rim-lined sheet pan and set the turkey on that. Then make sure that you clean your sink thoroughly because you do have raw poultry that's in there. So, lots of soap and water and clean out your sink. Then with that turkey, all you're going to do is take it on that pan, leave it uncovered, and put it in your refrigerator for 4 to 5 hours. What that's going to do is it's going to help evaporate all of that excess moisture that was on the outside so that that skin doesn't end up rubbery. You want the skin to be semi-dry before you smoke it so it gets nice and crispy. So it's not competing with the smoke and the heat and then the moisture in the skin. It's not competing and creating it like a rubberiness. If the skin is partially dry, it's going to crisp up nicely. Tip number 4 comes down to the seasoning. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it comes to seasoning a turkey, I've struggled with the binder. What I mean by binder is if you were to put mustard on it, butter on it, oil on it, etc., for the rub to stick. The problem when you use butter on a cold bird is the butter has to be soft enough for you to be able to spread it. But once it's softened and it hits that cold bird, it kind of hardens and cracks, and it just doesn't really adhere to the bird very well. And then when you try to add rub, the butter just cracks, and that's been my experience my whole life when I've tried to use butter as a binder. So instead, I use the butter inside. So I will put my hand underneath the turkey skin on the breast, so I've got the meat sitting breast side up. I'll put my hand between the meat and the skin itself, kind of to open up the slots in there. Then I will take a stick of butter and I'll cut it in half vertically, and I will slide half of stick of butter under each of those little cavities that I've created. So now I'm getting that butter moisture hitting the skin from the underside and then hitting the breast from the top side. I will also put butter in the pockets right by the thighs and where kind of the leg joint is. You'll find another little cavity in there, so I'll put a half a stick of butter in each of those, and I put a stick of butter right through the center, right in that rib cage area. Along with that butter, that's where I also put more aromatics. So instead of putting the aromatics in the brine, I put my aromatics actually in the cavity of the bird. So that's where I put celery, onions, carrots, lemons, sometimes some sage and other fresh herbs. When it comes to seasoning the bird, I usually use my homemade turkey rub, or you can also use my chicken rub, or just salt, pepper, maybe poultry seasoning, whatever your favorite flavor profiles are. I don't usually put a binder on my turkey. Instead, I just sprinkle it right on the bird, and it usually adheres just fine. No need to add anything else. But if you do want to do a binder, I recommend maybe something like an olive oil or avocado oil instead of the butter for the reasons that I talked about before. When you're seasoning it, make sure you get all over the breast, lift up the legs a little bit, get a little bit under there, fan out the wings and sprinkle those all up. And then I like to actually tuck the wings up under the breast, so that way when it lays flat, those wings are really nice and secure. You can tie the legs together if you want to. Sometimes the turkeys come with a little plastic thing that, that connects them together so it holds it nicely so you're not like spread eagle, spread turkey. But anyway, just get all around. You can season the bottom too if you want to. You're really not going to eat the bottom of the turkey, so it's up to you if you want to do that. But if you do flip it over and season the bottom, make sure when you flip it back breast side up that there's still seasoning on the top of the bird. So if you're going to season the bottom, maybe do the bottom first, flip it over, then put it back on the pan, and then go ahead and season the top. This is the point that is so important where you can ruin your turkey. We've picked the perfect bird. We've brined it. You air chilled it. You seasoned it. It is ready to go on the smoker. Don't make this mistake. Do not smoke your turkey at 225 degrees or 250 degrees. The meat will probably taste really good, but your skin is going to end up too rubbery. It is not going to render. Instead, I recommend smoking it at 300 to 350 degrees over indirect heat. So this is still a smoke setup. We've got our charcoal. For me, I'm using cowboy charcoal, and then you can add some wood chunks like apple or pecan or hickory. Those are all great with turkey. And then you're going to set your grill up so you have an indirect heat zone. There's no fire directly underneath your turkey because that'll cook it too fast and cause it to burn. So the heat will be either offset, or you'll have a diffuser plate, or if you're using a pellet grill, you'll have that metal deflector plate, so you're not getting that direct heat right on your bird. But set your temperature to 300 to 350 degrees. That way your meat's going to cook beautifully, but your skin is also going to render so that it's crispy and not rubbery. Now, in general, when you're smoking your turkey at 300 to 350 degrees, it's going to take about 15 minutes per pound to cook. During this process, I highly recommend basting it so that you can create even better skin. But instead of basting it with something that's liquidy like water or soda or beer, I recommend using a fat. You can either use chicken schmaltz, you can use butter, you can use bacon grease, which is OMG delicious. And I actually mix in a little bit of whiskey with that bacon grease, and it just creates this stunning crispy skin. Beautiful mahogany color. It's got the crispiness, it's got the flavor. It's just a showstopper and makes a beautiful centerpiece. So try that, a little bacon grease, a little whiskey, base that on your bird every 30 or 45 minutes. All right, we're almost done. Tip number 6, how to know when your turkey is done. You want to use a leave-in meat thermometer. You can either use a wireless meat thermometer like the ThermoWorks RFX, or you can use a ThermoWorks Smoke or Signals, which are the wired leave-in thermometers. You're gonna insert the meat probe into the thickest part of the breast. If you have 2 probes, you can also stick one into the thickest part of the thigh. Just make sure that it doesn't touch the bone and that it's fully surrounded by meat. Then you set those alarms. I like to set it at 155, knowing that that's not my pull point, but it kind of alerts me that, oh, I need to start paying attention because now the temperature is going to slowly increase. I aim for my breast meat to be about 160 to 165. I like my thigh meat to be about 180. According to the USDA, the safe internal temp for poultry, turkey, chicken, etc. is 165 degrees. So if you want to be ultra safe, you can go all the way to 165 as the USDA recommends, or you can pull it at 160. And remember, there will be some carryover cooking, which means that once you pull it off the smoker, there's still heat and thermodynamics going on. So it's still like radiating in that bird, and it's going to bring it up to that 165 degree temperature. But it's whatever you're most comfortable with. I don't recommend going much further than 165 because that's when you're going to start to dry out the meat, and you're going to need a lot of gravy to make up for that. All right, we're down to our final turkey tip. Turkey tip number 7 is you have to let your bird rest. Once you take it off the smoker, go ahead and bring it indoors and tent it loosely with aluminum foil. Don't make it tight because then it'll steam and it'll soften your skin. Just keep it loose so you don't have any draft blowing on your bird, and then let it rest for 30 to 45, even 60 minutes. During this stage, all those juices are going to settle and they're really going to redistribute right there into your meat, which is going to make for the perfect juicy bird. During the rest stage is the perfect time to finish up all of your sides. I've got a YouTube video for how to cook up 3 Thanksgiving sides on your smoker in less than an hour. So while your turkey is resting, you can put those sides right on the smoker and they're going to be ready right when it's time to carve the bird, making for a perfect Thanksgiving dinner. That's it. 7 turkey tips for a fantastic Thanksgiving dinner. I hope you guys follow some or all of these, and I really would love to see your pictures, your videos. Share those with me after Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day. I really want you to focus on your friends and family. Try to ignore social media and just be thankful for the ones that you have. I am so thankful for you guys. I hope that you have the most wonderful Thanksgiving. We're actually going to be celebrating Thanksgiving in the outdoors this year. We're going camping, which is one of our favorite traditions for Thanksgiving, is to cook everything outside at a campsite. So it's going to be a really fun time, but I will not be doing a barbecue tips podcast. I hope you guys have the most wonderful Thanksgiving. Until next time, you can find thousands of barbecue tips and hundreds of barbecue recipes on my website, girlscangrill.com. You can find me on all the socials at Girls Can Grill. You can also find more holiday grilling recipes in my holiday grilling cookbook. And don't forget that my rubs are now available as well. Until next time, guys, happy grilling and happy Thanksgiving.